music! Oh, sorry. Pinch me, pinch me. Shoot, I'm in my studio here and I'm not skiing POW at Banff Sunshine. Well, that kind of sucks. Just imagine Kicking Horse and Sun Peaks having an extremely, really good looking baby.
You love it when I get so high and drop that thing so low. Make you sit right here. Now you can't go back home. You love it when I get so...
That's Banff Sunshine for you. The views are amazing. The terrain is both mellow and approachable, but also absolutely nutty and insane, and the snowfall is great. Banff Sunshine is 100% a mountain that needs to be on your bucket list. Let's get into the Rise and Alpine review.
I-35 with the top down, couldn't tell it.
Nothing starts a good ski review like a bit of hot sauce. I've got my notes here so I can stay on track. If you're wondering why I'm holding a piece of paper. Skiable acreage. Oh, good. Hot sauce kicking in. Sunshine is made up of 3 mountains. Goat's Eye, Standish, and Lookout Mountain. The top elevation of the Great Divide Express is 2,730 meters. You can hike even higher if you go do the dive. The vertical drop is 1,070 meters, and Banff Sunshine boasts over 3,300 acres of skiable terrain worth exploring. There are 12 lifts total at Banff Sunshine, 1 8-person gondola, 7 high-speed quads, 2 fixed grip quads, and 2 beginner zones. One of those lifts is actually Canada's only heated chairlift.
We're burning ass right now, that's for sure.
Exiting the mothership. So for all you Europeans who always complain about our lift infrastructure, there you go. Visit Banff Sunshine, you might be a little less upset. So technically you can ride a chairlift and cross over the BC-Alberta border or ski one run and do half of it in BC and some of it in Alberta. Banff Sunshine is pretty easy to navigate. Essentially, you go up a gondola and then you're kind of in the main core area. There's a bunch of chairlifts going off in every other direction. So sometimes it involves a skate or a skate ski or a snowboard scooch to these other locations. But essentially, once you get up that main gondola, you're not skiing back down to the bottom. You're just kind of playing around at all the bases of all the different chairlifts. Banff Sunshine is the perfect place for beginner skiers and riders. There's a lot of mountains, say like Whistler, where if you want to ski beginner terrain, you don't really have a lot of options and you don't really feel like you're in it. You know, you have to be lower down in the mountain. At Banff Sunshine, if you're a beginner rider, you can be right in the middle of the Rockies with crazy views and be enjoying runs that are suitable for your skill level. Pretty much every single chair, minus the Goat's Eye chair, has a reasonable, wide green run for beginners to enjoy on the way down. Intermediate and carving runs. I honestly couldn't have been more stoked about the groomed and carving terrain at Banff Sunshine. I felt like I was teleported into Europe or something with these wide open, sprawling groomers. I'm used to bowl skiing where it's always bumps, but they've groomed some of these nice open spots in the pure Alpine, and you can just shred and not lay down an edge and not worry about falling into a tree to your left or this to the right. So the upper Alpine stuff is really fun. And then you got lots of fun runs once you hit tree line. There's something about the cold, squeaky corduroy of the Rockies that just hits different than that icy boilerplate stuff we tend to ski on in our coastal snowpack. If you love carving, I'd recommend getting out there early so you can lay down some big, fast turns before any people get there. Thanks to the lack of trees, I also found some of the black runs to be super approachable for intermediate riders. So if it's a clear day and you're riding one of the groomers at Sunshine, and you're an intermediate rider, you can have the confidence to kind of just jet off and maybe experiment on a black or experiment on the edge because it's all so open. You don't have to worry about the trees when you're progressing because I know trees can be kind of scary for an intermediate rider when you're breaking into that advanced part. There's also some awesome spots to experiment with trees on the Standish and the Wawa chair as well. So definitely spots I'd check out if you're an advanced or an intermediate advanced rider. Advanced and expert terrain. So Banff Sunshine essentially is like a 0 to 100 kind of place. You've got these really mellow, rolling, open groomers, and then you've got some shit your pants stuff like Delirium Dive and Wild West, which just feels crazy that they're sanctioned runs. They're awesome. But the in-between, I didn't feel like there was a ton of really, really good, varied, advanced terrain. Still plenty of good spots, but I find it's like a 0 to 100 kind of place. The experts are going to have a really, really good time, and the intermediates are going to have a really, really good time. Most of the blacks at Sunshine kind of felt like blues with bumps to me. For the advanced expert skier who's looking for a challenge that doesn't require avalanche gear, I'd say to hang out on the goat side chair. The south side chutes, far side and wild side are absolutely amazing and was one of my favorite lines that I skied the whole trip. And I'd also recommend playing around the Hell's Kitchen trees and then finish up on Supermodel under the lift, show off a little bit. Also, if you like getting creative on natural features, check out the Standish chair. There's lots of drops and jumps in a mini golf style along a head wall ridge. Extreme terrain. The extreme terrain at Banff Sunshine, honestly, is mind-blowing, and it's still the stuff that I'm dreaming about. There's a couple zones which are super notable for extreme skiing, and one is the world-renowned Delirium dive. You can only access the dive if you have avalanche gear, training, and a partner. Some people will wait at the gate to meet up with a partner if they want to go in. And you climb these stairs, and once you get to the top, you can just see all the lines into the bowl. There's some chutes on the far right. The top part's the steepest, like 50 degrees, and people will literally crawl up and look over the edge. And it's super funny. I remember we jumped off one there when people were watching. You can walk down the stairs where the entrance is slightly easier. You know, I hesitate to say easier to kind of go in from the right side, or if the chutes are open on the far right, those would be super cool as well. Everything down Delirium is amazing. The snow's awesome, and you can just, you know, pick your line as you please. Just make sure to spot it because there's cliffs everywhere. If you go too far one direction, there's cliffs. The other direction, there's cliffs. Below you, there's cliffs. So you really got to know where you're going. And if you don't have a local to show you around, make sure you got a clear day and kind of know what you're looking for. Once you're down to the bottom of the bowl in Delirium, there's options to ski trees, kind of go to the far side. So it's kind of choose your own adventure in there. But the dive is a must. And I think that needs to be on a bucket list for any skiers who are visiting Sunshine. You know, like without the dive, I don't really think Sunshine's as epic as it could be. Like, that's how good the dive is. Banff Sunshine calls these areas free ride zones. And the other free ride zone is located on the right side, skiers right of the goat side chair. That's called the Wild West. And man, the Wild West is wild. When it's open, there's some of the most unique inbounds terrain I've ever experienced. We skied a wall-to-wall couloir in there, and it was just epic. And there's a bunch of different tight-walled couloirs and chutes hiding in there, some which require straight lines and mandatory airs to get in. We also managed to snipe some pretty sick pillow lines during our visit, but I'll let you guys adventure and find those on your own because there's something so fun about finding a pillow line on your own and getting all stoked about it. Tree skiing. Sunshine just doesn't have that many trees. It's primarily an Alpine resort. It's extremely high elevation, so there's just not that many amazing tree zones. With your best bet to find actual tree skiing is kind of the bottom half of the goat side chair, kind of plug through whatever seems reasonable to you. But overall, I wouldn't call Banff Sunshine really a tree skiing place. If tree skiing is your thing, you might have to give it up for your visit because you're going to be amused enough on the other stuff. Bowls. Thanks to the elevation at Banff Sunshine, pretty much everything is an Alpine bowl. That's why it's so cool and like so mind-blowing, is everywhere you look is just like an open bowl. Lift lines. I'm sure that lift lines do happen on weekends and in holiday times, you know, peak parts of the season. But when I was there, zero lift lines, ski on, ski off. I imagine the bottom gondola could be a bit of a bottleneck on like bigger powder days, people just stoked to get up. But there's lots of chairs to spread out that aren't overly interconnected. So I feel like it's a good spread across the mountain, and you can always find a chair that's, you know, quiet if you want to get some lapping in. If you're looking for terrain park and you want to jib and jump, the Great Divide Terrain Park's pretty sweet. It's got 12 acres of features in there. I think there's like 50 plus features. We didn't really do any laps through the terrain park. I never do, but it's there. So if you're looking for a terrain park, or maybe you're not skiing POW for the day and you want to, you know, tighten up your skill set in there, definitely can do that. Snow conditions and climate. Thanks to its location high on the Continental Divide, Sunshine's kind of in the perfect slot to just collect snow, and it gets a lot of snow for a mountain area in the Rockies. Like it does well for itself, much better than Lake Louise. I think it gets like 2 times more snow than Lake Louise a year, bringing it up to like 900 centimeters a year, 360 inches in a big year. This snow isn't your average sea to sky snow. This is like the best, the mecca of snow, Champagne. We're talking real Canadian Rockies champagne powder. Sunshine doesn't even create fake snow. They just farm it, which is funny, but there's these fences around the resort. So when the wind pushes, the snow collects on these fences, which is quite interesting. It's kind of laughable. I never seen anything like that before, but it's pretty neat. Backcountry access. There's definitely backcountry options starting from the ski resort. Just be mindful, the snowpack in the Rockies is quite volatile, lots of persistent slab problem. So if you're gonna push into backcountry terrain, you need to have the training, you need to be really dialed with the forecast and have all the gear. I don't know anything about the area, so I can't give you any tips or spots to go. All I can tell you is be careful when you're ski touring in the Rockies, and obviously there are ways to get into the mountains from the resort there. As long as you can keep your kiddos warm, it's an awesome spot to take your family. I think one of the best spots to take your family. You can hop onto like a more approachable chair, like the Standish chair, and there's runs for every skill level. So you could bring your kid out who's skiing greens and one who's already jumping off cliffs, and all ski on the same chair, meet at the bottom, and just have a really good time. I think it's an approachable and a fun hill for families, and the people are really nice in Alberta. Sometimes people aren't as nice in Whistler, and I found the people to be really nice. So I'd say it's a great option to take your family to Sunshine. Everyone's gonna enjoy themselves. Views. I mean, you're in the middle of the Rockies, man. You got Mount Assiniboine in your viewpoint. You got mountains everywhere, huge jagged peaks. The views don't really get much better than Sunshine. On a clear day, it's exceptional. It's like nowhere you've ever been. If you haven't experienced the Rockies, you almost should just go up there. It's worth the price of admission to go up there just to see the views. It is mind-bogglingly nice. Ticket passes and prices. Banff Sunshine is affiliated with Icon, Ski Big 3, and I think Mountain Collective. So I'm not sure in the exact pass prices, but those are all good options to work into your trips if you have one of those passes. Pricing for the Ski Big 3 pass, I think it was like $500, a bit under $500. You get 3 days, plus you only have to use those 3 days within a 5-day period, so you can have 2 rest days in there, explore Banff, and you can go to any of the 3 resorts, so Sunshine, Lake Louise, or Norquay during that time, or even 2 in 1 day. So that's a pretty cool way to get a 3-day ticket and explore the area. My honest opinion. So you've heard me talk about the good, but what about the bad? And there's a few things I need to address about Sunshine Village. So if you watched my rating video, you would have noticed that I rated Sunshine Village as number 3 in Canada, and this rating's very personal. It's because I love Delirium Dive and the Wild West. I thought it was some of the most intense, unique, extreme terrain I've ever skied. Now the issue lies in the fact that you need avalanche gear and a partner to access these spots. 99% of skiers and riders out there don't actually have avalanche gear when they're visiting a ski resort. So for the expert rider who's looking to experiment in really cool terrain, you're honestly not going to have as much fun at Banff Sunshine in terms of steeper, more technical skiing as you will at other resorts. If we were to strip away Delirium Dive, Wild West, if those are closed, or if you didn't have avalanche gear, I don't think Banff Sunshine would be as fun for an expert skier as Lake Louise. But if you have avalanche gear and Wild West and the Delirium Dive are open, then it's amazing. And that's the reason I rated it at number 3. Like I said, very personal, very subjective, to the fact that I have Avi gear and I love that kind of terrain. But without that terrain, it's a whole different resort in my mind. Another downside to Banff Sunshine are the frigid cold days. Freezing weather sucks when you're skiing. And I'm not talking just like, minus 12 Celsius. I'm talking if it's minus 20, minus 30. It's tough to ski in those conditions. You can do it, layer up, but it can make for a less enjoyable day when everything in your body is frozen, and it has an effect on the snow as well. Another reason Banff Sunshine can be a little tricky is any days where there's a whiteout. At Banff Sunshine, there's not that much tree skiing going on, so if there is a whiteout up there in the Alpine, you're just not going to have that much fun on the mountain. It's going to be tough to see and ski, and there's not enough trees for you to really, really enjoy yourself with complete whiteout conditions because it's so alpine. If the skies are clear, the snow is in and everything is open at Banff Sunshine, and you've got Avi gear, you're skiing Delirium and Wild West. Honestly, one of the most legendary resorts I've ever been at. That terrain is just so cool, and there's a lot of exploration you can do. So even though there's a few, you know, downfalls to Banff Sunshine, I still feel like it's one of the most incredible resorts that I've been to in Canada, and it's definitely worth a visit. Since my visit, I often get asked the question, Lake Louise versus Sunshine Village. So I'm going to lay it out for you, and I'm going to base it off different skill levels. So if you're a beginner or you're a family skiing more mellow stuff, both options are honestly going to be awesome. You know, you just hope for a clear day and hope for warmer weather. So for a beginner, the terrain's all awesome. For an intermediate, it's all awesome. Sunshine leans to be a bit more approachable for the intermediate and beginner skier as well. There's a bit more mellow terrain. For the intermediate and carving skier, you're probably gonna enjoy both an equal amount. There's lots of good transitional terrain to kind of get you improving. Now, where there's a real distinct difference is for the advanced and expert terrain. At Sunshine Village, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of kind of advanced and expert terrain that doesn't require avalanche gear. So if you don't have avalanche gear and you really like skiing kind of steep, expert terrain, you're gonna like Louise 100 times more. So I think for the vast majority of people, you don't have avalanche gear. So I think you're gonna favor Lake Louise just based off that alone. There's a lot of variables that go into that big stuff like Delirium and Wild West at Sunshine being open. You need the snowpack, you need the avalanche control to give it the green light. So there's a lot of variables that come into play to make Sunshine, in my opinion, the better hill when it lines up. But as a whole, Lake Louise is probably gonna be the favorite for most people. You're gonna have an awesome time at both, but depending how you ski and what you like to ski, there's good options on both sides. So there you have it. There's another Rise in Alpine resort review. Let me know in the comments if you've been to Sunshine. Let me know what you think about Sunshine. Maybe share with people some of your favorite runs, experiences, maybe something you don't like. It's just fun to get the comments going, kind of get the community all chatting about the things they know. We can all give each other tips. I find that super fun. So thanks for tuning in. The snow's gonna start falling soon. The ski season is almost here. I hope you're getting just as stoked as I am. But until next time, stay spicy. Sayonara.